Okay, in this lesson, we're just going to review some things about circles. We're going to review how to find the area of a circle, how to find the circumference, the diameter, and the radius, because all of these things are going to be important as we work through volume and surface area. So, if we have the distance around a circle, we've talked about the distance around an object is perimeter, but circle has a special name. Remember, the distance around a circle is called the circumference. Okay, and then we have, I ran to grab a formula. Then we have something, the distance across a circle, so that would be all the way across through its center, is called its diameter. And so you'll see in the picture down below, the diameter goes all the way through. One thing somebody showed me recently, if you have trouble remembering, remember your diameter goes all the way through and it creates a D. So if it's not creating a nice uppercase D, then you're not given the diameter. And then the formula for the circumference of a circle is circumference equals 2 pi r, or you could see it as circumference equals pi times diameter. So let's talk about r for a second, because I don't see anything on these notes that says r. Remember, r stands for the radius. And the radius is halfway across the circle. Okay, so it meets in the middle, but it only goes halfway. So here's a picture of the radius so you can see. And so similar to the diameter picture, the radius one maybe doesn't look quite as much like it, but if we have the center of our circle, the radius forms that R. Okay, so that's what we're thinking about. So that might help you remember a little bit, radius versus diameter. Okay, so we know circumference is the distance around a circle. The area of a circle is the number of square units where? I hope you're thinking inside the circle. So here in our picture up above, here's our square units. This is the area of our circle. And it says the formula for the area of a circle is blank or blank. I don't really know two formulas. The formula is area equals pi r squared. Now both of these formulas we just talked about are on your formula chart, and we're going to be referring back to that a lot. So don't think that you have to memorize the formulas, but we have to know what they mean and stand for. So r stands for radius. So let's look at 3 examples together, and then you're going to do some practice on your own down at the bottom. It says if the radius of a circle is r equals 3 inches, find the area. So anytime we're using our formulas, I want you to think about writing what the formula is. So we already said our area formula is pi r squared. Now remember, you have a pi button on your calculator, and it didn't say use 3.14. So I want us to use our pi button on our calculator. And so we're going to fill this in. We're finding the area. We're going to use pi as the symbol pi. So all we need to know is the radius. Well, look, the radius is 3 inches. So I'm going to say times 3 squared. Now, hopefully you could look at some of that and calculate it yourself. But we do have our calculators, and so take your calculator and get to a calculator page. Remember, your pi button is down here by your H key, so you can hit the pi button and select the pi, and then we're doing times 3 squared, and then hit enter. And so this gives us 28.2743. Oh, my My laptop died for a second. So I'm going to round that to the nearest hundredth. And so the area is equal to 28.27 inches squared. Remember, we've already talked about that area is squared. Okay, let's look at the next one. If the diameter of a circle is 8 centimeters, find the area. So again, our formula is area equals pi r squared. So this time we've been given the diameter. And so I hope you remember that the radius then would be half of that. The radius is equal to 8 divided by 2. So we're going to fill in our formula again. Pi times the radius, which is 4 squared. Okay, and now my phone is ringing. Okay, so we're going to do pi times 4 squared. Make sure that we're getting these right answers with our calculator. And so if I round that to the nearest hundredth place, it would be 50.27. 50.27 centimeters squared is our area. Okay, so one more. This one's a little bit different because it tells us the area and it wants us to find the radius. So again, I'm going to take my area formula and I'm going to fill it in. So I know that my area is 78.5. Pi is pi, but I don't know my radius. So this is solving an equation. We're going to do inverse operations just like we always do. I want to cancel out the pi, so I'm going to divide both sides by pi. Now we're not going to calculate that yet. Our equation now looks like 78.5 divided by pi. Okay. The next inverse operation, we have to cancel out the squared. So what's the opposite of squaring something? I hope you remember from the Pythagorean theorem, the opposite is to square root it. Okay, and so that's going to give us r. And the reason I left it, I didn't do any calculating yet, is because I want us to input this all at once. We're going to be better off, we're not going to have to round our numbers, and we're going to be exact. So I want us to look at how to put this in. So I'm going to start by doing the square root key. And then I'm going to input a fraction there, so your calculator should look like that. Then we know we should have 78.5 on top, and in the bottom I'm going to put my pi key. So we're going to be better off if we try to put this in all at once. Make sure your calculator looks like that, and then hit enter. And then we don't have to worry about rounding. So, wow, this is 4.9987. Let's round that to the nearest whole number. So the radius is about 5 meters. Okay, so let's summarize this. If we're given the radius or the diameter of a circle, we can find its area. We can also find the radius and diameter of a circle if we're given its area. And we can also do that with circumference. We're just focusing on area right now because circumference really isn't in our formulas. The formulas for the diameter, circumference, and area are, if I want to, I don't know what we want for the, if I want to find the diameter, then it would be 2 times the radius. Or if I want to find the radius and I was given the diameter, we would divide it by 2, right? Circumference is 2 pi r, or pi times the diameter. And then area is pi r squared. Now let's see if you can do the bottom 5 problems on your own.